Hi Yogi, and welcome to another Slow Flow with me, Oceana. In this particular episode, we'll be exploring another of the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas, the yogic and Ayurvedic elements, with this particular sequence being inspired by the earth element known as Prithvi. And of course, as you might be able to guess, the earth element is really all about this idea of feeling fully grounded and rooted in who we are, where we come from, what our identity is, and what we believe in. So that really from that place of stability and feeling fully supported, we can feel the freedom to go after what we want and do the things we enjoy. So in terms of what the ancient yogis might consider the subtle body anatomy, it's really connected to the Muladhara chakra, which is the root chakra. It's located in the pelvic floor. And so for that reason, most of these postures keep us very close to the ground so that we can really explore our relationship to the earth. And hopefully you'll enjoy. In terms of props, you might like to have something where you can elevate your hips onto in the seated postures. And aside from that, we'll be starting in a standing position. So meet me there when you're ready, Yogi. Once you arrive on your yoga mat, separate the feet shoulder distance. Bend your knees enough so that if you're looking down, the knees cover about half of your foot. Either let the arms rest in front of you or plant the hands on one on top of the other on the lower belly. If you can, close the eyes completely, otherwise find a focal point directly in front of you. Let your peripheral vision widen so that your eyes start to soften. See if you can let the shoulders be heavy. Let the tailbone gently draw towards the floor. Let the crown of the head lift in the opposite direction. And just for a few moments here, feel your connection to the earth. Follow the breath as you inhale. See if you can direct it towards your hands, expanding the belly as you breathe in and softening the space beneath the hands as you exhale. Maybe give your mind a few moments to really settle into the idea of practice, of staying focused and dedicated throughout this class. Maybe making that promise to yourself, regardless of the kind of day you've had before this. And then release the hands if they're resting on the belly. Allow them to relax down by your sides. Start to shift your body weight forward into the toes so that your heels become light and you almost start to topple forward. You feel your body weight shifting, pulling you down with gravity. And then send your body weight all the way back into the heels so that the toes become light and you almost topple backwards. And for a few moments here, start to move forwards and back between those 2 points. With each repetition, making that movement just a little bit smaller. Now it could be that you're making it just a millimeter smaller each time. Maybe you're going for a whole centimeter or a whole inch. But really explore where that tipping point is, where your body weight starts to move you forward and back. And for most of us, there'll be an exact center of the foot, which we might eventually reach, where it feels like our body weight is neither going forward nor back, but we're perfectly balanced in the center. And if you arrive there, allow yourself to really feel the whole of your foot connecting down, rooting you into the floor. And then blink the eyes open so that we can move through a couple of limbering exercises to ease into the body. We'll sweep the arms out and overhead as you inhale. Softly bend the knees a little bit more deeply. As you exhale, the legs start to straighten, the palms come down in front of your face. And we'll repeat that a few times. You can always close the eyes once you've got the hang of the movement. If you forget what you're doing for some reason, I'll always be here to remind you. But maybe by closing the eyes, you can take a moment to focus just a little bit more on your internal landscape rather than what's going on around you. Noticing whether just these early slow movements have already affected your mind. Maybe it's starting to quiet down up there. Maybe the breath is getting longer or softer. We'll make this our final movement. So the next time that the hands come down and rest in front of your pelvis, keep them there. Blink the eyes open. Make sure there's just a little bit of room between the hands and the body. Let the elbows widen away from each other so you're creating more space in the back body between the shoulder blades and the spine. And we'll move through a qigong form known as radiant lotus here, because as the very famous Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, if there's no mud, there is no lotus. So from here, we'll open it out to the left side, following our left hand with the eyes as we twist, and then rolling the left shoulder forward towards the chest. You point the fingertips back. And it's a sense that you're drawing something from the past that no longer serves you forward. You're going to release it with your hand, very kindly offering it up to the earth. And it's a sense that you're touching the floor beneath you, still looking at your fingertips very kindly with the eyes. And then you spin the palm open towards the sky, receiving something new in return. You bring that offering in towards yourself. Again, the shoulder blade rolls in, the fingertips point back. Almost with a straight left arm, you're going to keep the palm facing towards the ceiling if you can, spinning it above the head and then bringing it all the way down and absorbing that offering back into your system. And we'll repeat that on the second side. So we open it up to the right side, following the right hand with the eyes as we twist. We point the right fingertips back, roll the shoulder in, pulling forward what no longer serves, releasing it to the earth, opening the palm to the sky to receive an offering in return, and drawing that back. The shoulder rolls in. We lift the arm to the right side and over our head. Palm still facing the ceiling as you bring the hand down and absorb it back into the system. And let's go crazy. Let's do that with both arms at the same time. Let's give it a go. So we open ourselves up to the world. We reach back, rolling the shoulders in, drawing forward what no longer serves, release it out. Open yourself up to that offering of kindness and compassion. Bring it in towards yourself. And then vaguely straight arms. We reach the palms towards the ceiling, creating that big heart shape above the body as you bring the hands back in and rest them just for a moment in front of the pelvis. And maybe you've got the hang of it now, or maybe you'd like to give it another go here. We start again on the left. Following the hand back, reaching behind us, shoulder rolls in, drawing forth into the light, releasing out. Reaching for that offering, bringing it back towards ourselves, lifting left arm up and overhead, lifting through the chest, Gently releasing back into the system, taking it across to the right arm, twisting to the side, reach back, bring forth, release, pause, open the palm, receive, draw back, allow that movement to integrate that offering into the system as you bring it towards yourself. And again, we see if this works with both arms at the same time. It's a little bit more tricky. Open yourself up. Expand the arms. Reach back as you turn the shoulders in. Bring forth into the light. Place gently with kindness what no longer serves you to the earth. Receive that offering in return. Rotate the arms up towards the ceiling. Paint that big heart shape. And release the hands in front of the pelvis. Taking a moment to absorb those movements into the body. And then gently relax your arms. Shift your body weight into the right leg, step the left foot in. Shift your body weight into the left leg, step the right foot in. Feet hip distance when you get there. And slightly different than we would normally enter into this pose, let's take our sitting bones back, coming into an invisible chair without lifting the arms. And if you can, if you've sort of gone straight into that pose, stand back up. Really see if you can allow yourself to stay on that central point of your feet without going too far forward or too far back. Is that even possible? For most of us, it means actually pressing the knees just a little bit further away from one another. And that allows us to stay stable. And if you can find that point, then reach the arms up and overhead. For most of us, this will look quite different to our usual chair pose. It's a much more grounded version. And then as you exhale, float the hands out and down. Release the crown of the head to the floor. Bend your knees. Let the belly rest on top of the thighs in your standing forward bend. Hands on the floor or to the shins as you inhale, lengthen the spine halfway. Ardha Uttanasana, crown of the head moves towards the horizon line. The shoulders draw back. Exhale, keep the spine long as you fold back into the legs here for Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Plant the hands underneath your shoulders as you inhale. Step the left foot back, let the right foot follow into high plank position. Lower the knees very gently. Walk the hands forward. Let your sitting bones move up and back as you descend the center of your chest towards the ground, finding Anahata Asana, puppy pose. Now, if there's neck problems, keep your chin tucked in towards the chest. Let the forehead rest on the floor. If there's no neck issues, let the chin release forwards. Take the eyes to the front of your yoga mat. And then find just a few moments to soften towards the earth. When you're ready, shift your body weight forward, bring the shoulders on top of the elbows, plant the forearms underneath to the ground, really firmly pressing down. Tuck under your toes, send the heels back to lift the knees into your forearm plank. Really actively pressing the ground away, lengthening through crown of the head and the heels. Drawing your tailbone down so that the fronts of your hip bones lift towards the rib cage. And then gently releasing the hips towards the ground into Sphinx pose with a sigh of relief, probably. Make sure here that you're pressing all 10 toes into the ground so that your kneecaps lift. And again, you're actively using your forearms to press into the earth, lifting the center of the chest. And maybe if you want to deepen this back bend, you use your hands to pull back against the stickiness of your yoga mat and expand the chest and the collarbones, really opening into the thoracic spine, feeling that slight compression there. Gently as you exhale, bring the chest to the floor, hands underneath the shoulders. Press yourself to a tabletop. Tuck under the toes as you exhale to downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Have a little walk through the feet here. Pedal the legs or shimmy the hips, easing into the pose and the back of the body here. Finding just a few moments of stillness. And gently bringing the big toes to touch at the back. Inhale to lift your right leg up and back. Point the toes for three-legged dog. On an exhale, bring your right knee forward towards the nose. Hover the shoulders on top of the wrists for tiger's curl. And then step lightly or shimmy the foot forward to the front. Find your runner's lunge, so let the hips descend, let the chest lift, take the eyes forward. Find that slight arch through the spine. On an exhale, step your back foot to the front. Feet hip distance when you arrive. Inhale to lift the arms and find your chair pose. Sitting bones draw down and back. Again, see if you can connect to that central point in your feet. And from there, as you exhale, swim back to standing. Straighten the legs, release the arms down by your side. I'll briefly come to face you here as we move towards tree pose, Vrikshasana. We'll shift our body weight into the right foot to begin with. And you could stay on your left toes, leaning the heel against the opposite ankle. Maybe if you're adding the balance, you lift the foot to the calf. We always skip the knee joint for health and safety reasons, but you might like to place the heels somewhere on your thigh. Now from there, options with the hands to keep them resting down on the legs, possibly bringing the palms to touch in front of the chest, and then finding that focal point in front of you again, finding your deep focus here. Possibly growing the branches of the tree by lifting your fingertips towards the sky. And then expanding the tree outwards. Very much that symbol of spring. Things awakening again, energy moving upwards from the roots of the tree. But equally, we're still feeling that connection to the earth through our standing leg. And then gently from here, the left knee moves forward to point to the front of the mat. You draw that knee in towards the chest for Hasta Padangusthasana. And then you're always allowed to use the hands on the floor, but maybe a hands-free transition is on the cards for you today. So you take the hands and the foot back, gently landing the left foot behind you, bring the knee to the floor and untuck the toes. Lift the arms to find Anjani Asana, your low lunge position. From here, bring your left hand to the outside of your front knee. Right hand spins behind you, holding on to the lower back. And possibly for some of you, you might be able to slide your left hand down the front of the knee. If you get all the way past your elbow, you can bring the hands together in front of the chest or make your bottom hand into a fist. Bring the top palm over it to really press the top hand down and spin the chest open into a twist towards your front leg. Really thinking about pressing the bottom forearm and elbow away, lifting through the top rib cage. Maybe even looking upwards towards the sky. Inhale to lift the arms back through center. Release the hands to the inside of your front foot. See if you can pick up the left leg and then spin the toes towards your front heel so that you're sort of coming into a little bit of a hip opener here. Trace your way along the long side of your yoga mat until you're facing the back. Knees come together into tabletop. We walk the hands all the way forward and allow the center of the chest to descend towards the ground to find Anahata Asana. Again, the sitting bones are lifting upwards in the opposite direction to lengthen the lower back and spine. Pressing the forearms into the ground, bring the shoulders on top of the elbows, tuck the toes under, lift the knees for your low plank position. Again, really pressing the floor away, very active in the front of the body, drawing your lower hips towards the ribcage. And gently, gently lowering the hips towards the ground, finding Sphinx pose here. Really pressing through the tops of the feet, lifting the knees, lifting away from the floor with the center of your chest. Maybe drawing open the front of your body by pulling the hands back towards the feet. On an exhale, release the chest down. Press the hands down underneath the shoulders. Inhale to tabletop. Toes tuck under as you exhale, downward facing dog. Find a few breaths here. Think about pressing into index finger and thumb. Rolling the inner elbows forward. Soft knees, or maybe the legs are straight, maybe the heels easily touch the ground. Maybe they never do, and none of that really matters. We'll step the big toes together at the back. We'll inhale to lift the left leg up and back into three-legged dog, bringing the left knee forward in towards the chest for tiger's curl. And stepping, shimmying, using our hands to bring the foot to the back of the mat here. We find that runner's lunge position. Again, the hips descend. We open the front of the body, rolling the shoulders back. On an exhale, step the back foot forward, feet hip distance when you arrive. Inhale to find your chair pose here. Again, from the center of the foot, possibly you can descend the sitting bones a little bit further down and back without losing that firm foundation in the feet. As you exhale, you release the arms down and swim to mountain top, Tadasana. I'll briefly again come to face you as we prepare for tree pose, shifting our body weight into the left leg this time. We'll have the right heel against the ankle, maybe the calf, maybe all the way to the thigh. Most importantly, again, skipping the knee joint. The hands could be resting down. Maybe you're bringing them into Anjali Mudra in front of the chest. And once you find that focal point again, find that softness in the shoulders, find the breath. Maybe growing the branches of the tree, lifting the fingertips towards the sky and separating your arms, gently allowing the shoulders to be soft. Finding a little bit more stability through the standing leg or embracing the wobbles. Lifting a little bit taller, growing through the crown of the head. So moving in two opposite directions here, grounding down and lifting up. When you're ready, bring your right knee to point to the back of the mat. I'll just turn myself over. Again, you're allowed, of course, to use hands on the floor. Otherwise, you'll reach the arms forward, unsupported, landing the right foot gently. Bring the knee to the floor and make your way into your Anjaneyasana low lunge at the second side, facing the back of your yoga mat. From here, right fingertips go to the outside of your left knee. Left hand can rest on the lower back. If you're going into that deeper twist, that front arm lowers down. If it gets past the elbow, then you bring the hands together in front of the chest, pressing your left hand down to spin the chest towards the ceiling. Maybe deepen the lunge, possibly looking up towards the ceiling. On an inhale, lifting the arms back up through center, planting the hands to the inside of the foot. Lift your right leg and then spin the toes to point towards your left heel and trace your way to the front of the mat. Finding a tabletop position, walk the hands forward and allow the chest to soften down towards the ground. Finding Anahatasana puppy pose here, not for too long. So we'll press the forearms down, bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders, tucking the toes under and lifting the knees into our forearm plank, really pressing the floor away. And then right forearm this time comes parallel to the front of the mat as you drop the heels to the right side and lift the left arm up towards the sky, lifting through that bottom hip, either staying in your low side plank or stepping the ball of your left foot behind you, lifting up through the hips, reaching the left fingertips overhead into your low wild thing position. Just staying for a breath or two here, really pressing through the left foot and the outer edge of the right leg. And then slowly reversing your way back onto the front body, slowly lowering the hips down. And again, finding a little bit of rest in Sphinx pose. So press the forearms down. Press all 10 toes into the ground, let the knees lift. And your choice to stay in a more restful version or to really use your arms to pull back against the yoga mat and open the upper back. Feel that deep, deep opening through the thoracic spine, shining the chest and collarbones to the front of the mat. On an exhale, release chest to the ground, plant the hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale to press yourself to a tabletop position, tuck under the toes and exhale, downward dog. Step the feet together at the back. Inhale to lift your right leg up and back for three-legged dog. Exhale, draw the right knee forward in towards the chest and step or shimmy the foot to the front. Again, find that runner's lunge position. So bring your fingertips to the ground, tent your hands. Let the center of the chest lift, roll the shoulders back. Press your back heel away. And then walk the fingertips forward. See if you can start to shift your body weight into the right leg, maybe staying on top of your left big toe for support or floating the foot off the ground. And from there, maybe the fingertips could become a little bit lighter. Maybe you can float the hands either sides of the hips into full warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Possibly straightening the standing leg. Again, working from that place of grounding, connecting to the center of the foot. And then lengthening, creating tension in the upper part of the body. Pressing your left heel back, reaching crown of the head forward. Fingertips are moving, almost trying to reach for the back foot. And then very lightly bend the standing leg as you land your left foot behind you and lower the knee down, lift the arms, returning to your low lunge. Plant both hands to the inside of your front foot. Feel free to walk your front foot a little bit more to the outer edge of the yoga mat. Maybe you're adjusting your back knee, finding your version of lizard lunge here. So hugging your right knee towards the midline. Maybe you're staying on your fingertips or hands, possibly softening onto your forearms. Allowing the crown of the head to hang. Breathing into the tight spots. Allowing yourself to give in to the pull of gravity here. Gently, if you're on the forearms, plant the hands back underneath the shoulders. Again, lift your back foot. See if you can spin the toes towards the front heel. And then tracing along the mat. Find your way into that tabletop. Walk the hands forward as you allow the chest to descend into puppy pose. Again, feel that length of the sitting bones drawing you back, but the chest pressing you down. Bring the shoulders on top of your elbows, forearms press into the ground, toes tuck under, and you float the knees off the floor into your forearm plank. Left forearm parallel to the front of the mat. Let your heels drop to the left side as you lift the right fingertips up into your side plank variation. Optional again to step the ball of your right foot behind you, lift through the hips, lift through the chest, reach the right fingertips to the back into your little wild thing variation. And again, we're not here for too long, so we'll slowly retrace our steps onto the front of the body, descending the hips for Sphinx pose at the back. Setting ourselves up just with the elbows, maybe an inch, a couple of centimeters in front of the shoulders. The shoulders roll back, we press the floor away with the forearms, pressing the toenails into the ground. You know the drill. Let the center of the chest open. Keep the eyes soft. And again, maybe you're using the friction of the mat, maybe not. Maybe you're resting on your belly right now, which is, probably the best decision you've ever made. And when you're ready, as you exhale, press yourself up into a tabletop, tuck under the toes and make your way back into downward facing dog. Find just a few rounds of breath here. Lengthen the spine by pressing the floor away. And then step the big toes together. Lift the left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Exhale, draw the left knee forward into the chest. Step or shimmy the foot to the back of the mat. Find that runner's lunge position. Let the front of the body open. Press your back heel away. Walk your hands in front. Slowly shift your body weight into the left leg. Maybe stay on top of the right big toe or possibly float the foot off the ground, flexing the toes to your face. Maybe the fingertips become light or you lift the hands all the way to the sides of the hips, pointing and reaching the fingertips back. Again, think about that center point of your left foot, grounding and pressing down, shifting your body weight so that you're perfectly balanced. Maybe the standing leg straightens. Maybe you can find a little bit more tension in the upper body by pressing that top heel and the crown of the head in opposite directions. On an exhale, soften the standing leg. Maybe use the hands on the floor for support or reach the fingertips forward so that you can land your right foot softly, bringing the knee down, lifting the fingertips towards the sky, and exhale to bring the hands to the inside of your left foot. Walk the foot to the outer edge of the yoga mat. Make some space for your hips here. Prepare for lizard lunge. So your choice to stay on top of the hands. Maybe some of you might like to shimmy your back knee a little bit further back. Possibly you're softening the elbows or coming onto your forearms. And maybe even dropping the crown of the head towards the floor so you can relax the neck and create a little bit of space in the back of the body here. Squeezing the left knee in towards the midline so you're keeping the hips stable and active even in this passive pose. Allowing yourself just a few moments of stillness here to settle in. Letting the exhale melt you towards the ground. When you're ready, slowly plant the hands back underneath the shoulders if they're not there already. Step your front knee to the back. Take the knees as wide as is comfortable. Big toes touch. Let your sitting bones move back towards the heels into Child's Pose Balasana. You can, of course, keep the hands in front of you or allow the hands to come resting on top of one another underneath your forehead. If the head doesn't quite reach there, then feel free to stack the fists on top of each other instead. Just finding a place where you can be restful. Maybe you're slightly shimmying the hips left and right if there's still a need to move the body here. Let the breath return to its natural rhythm. If you're still holding onto any pranayama practices, let them go. Slowly on an inhale, walk the hands in towards yourself. Round through the spine to come into a kneeling position just very briefly so that you can spin the feet out from underneath you. and plant them in front of you. Now we'll come into some seated forward folds, and if you know you have a tendency to round the spine when your legs are at 90 degrees, then you'll want to either roll up your yoga mat and use that underneath the hips for support, or you could grab some pillows, maybe some books, to give you a little bit more lift, and it'll help you in coming forward more with the chest rather than hunching over. So set yourself up for success and accommodate for your body right now. When you're ready, we'll have the left leg in front with the toes flexing back. The right knee is drawing in towards the chest, and then we allow that knee to open out to the side here. So we're preparing for Janushirshasana. We'll see if we can turn the center of the chest to point towards that left big toe. And we're flexing the toes back towards ourselves. Now the left knee can be really generously bent here. Maybe it wants to straighten very easily. We'll all start with the hands behind us, fingertips pointing back, lifting and lengthening through the front of the body. And then slowly, if you can keep the spine long, you might plant the hands in front of you. Maybe some of you are walking the hands a little bit further towards the foot. Possibly you're allowing yourself at that very, very last bit to round down. If your forearms are on the floor, usually it's okay. It depends a little bit on body proportions, obviously. If you have the foot within easy reach, of course, you can hold on to the foot, and that can help you sort of as you inhale, lift through the center of the chest, and as you exhale, releasing down. So even though it's a static posture, even if you're very high up, you're still working with the breath. That inhale, lifting through the front of the body, and exhale, seeing if there's just a millimeter, a fraction more space for you to move into the pose. But, you know, if you're really grasping to catch hold of that foot, then really let it go. Be a little bit kinder to your body today. And we'll make these our last few moments here. Maybe we can find a little bit of stillness. On an inhale, slowly walking your way back up through center. Using your right hand to support the right knee and bring the foot in front of you. Both legs are either straight or with bent knees. Again, you're flexing the toes very actively and pressing the heels into the ground. We'll have the hands either sides of the hips, fingertips pressing into the floor. And it's as if you're trying to push your hips away from the ground. So really pressing down, lifting through the center of the chest, pressing your heels away and lifting through the crown of the head for Dandasana, staff pose. So very active posture. Doesn't look like we're doing anything, which is almost super unfair because there's so much going on. We're trying to emulate that wooden staff, the danda, which is used in a form of Indian stick fighting that looks like a really fancy version of fencing, and you think that fencing couldn't get any fancier, but for sure the Indians have made it happen. It looks incredible. After this, you should definitely YouTube some danda fighting. And then slowly, when you're ready, release your arms. Use your left hand to pick up the left knee. Let that knee open out to the side. So we're taking Janushirshasana to the second side, because for most of us, the right leg is our more dominant side. This might be slightly easier for you. You can, again, keep the knee bent. The hands are behind your sitting bones. Spin the center of the chest forward towards the big toe, and then flex the toe towards your face. Maybe you're bringing the hands in front. Maybe keeping the front of the body long, you start to fold forward. And again, if you would like to soften the elbows or come onto forearms, be my guest. If the foot is within very easy reach, that's an option too. And just finding a few moments to breathe into the backs of the legs, to soften the torso, to maybe explore That very gentle side bend along the left side of the waist. On an inhale, slowly walk the hands back in towards yourself. Left hand supports the knee as you bring the foot straight out in front of you, finding Dandasana again. So again, legs bent, knees bent rather, toes flexing back. Maybe the legs are straight. You can again plant the hands either sides of your hips and press down through the fingertips to lift up towards the ceiling. Or if you want to make it a little bit more interesting, then we take Ganesha Mudra. So we have either the left fingertips and right fingertips clasping against each other, and then it's a sense that you're pulling the hands away from each other, or you could have the opposite hand on top. So typically, left hand is more feminine energy and the right hand on top is more masculine energy. So it really depends on how you're feeling today. I actually think I'm feeling that right hand on top a little bit more. And I'm really using the hands to pull the arms apart, which feels quite strong. And then lifting up from the core, center of the body, through the crown of the head and pressing my feet away from me. So much happening. It's really unfortunate this pose just looks super unimpressive to everyone on the outside, but on the inside we know we're working super hard here. And then gently, gently release the hands first. Bring your hands underneath the knees to support them as you bring them in, and we'll make our way into a seated pose for meditation. So again, if you'd like to support your sitting bones, maybe some of you would like to sit in a chair or couch. Maybe you'd like to have a lie down. That's a great idea as well. Maybe the shins are crossed or you have the heels in one line. Rest the hands on top of your knees to begin with and find the sitting bones. So let your body weight travel back. See if you can let the shoulders be soft. Maybe the eyes can be closed, or there's just that very soft gaze that I sort of taught you at the beginning, where we let our peripheral vision widen and it sort of blurs our eyes just slightly. Possibly you could bring the chin just a little bit closer towards the chest so that your forehead and chin are in one line and the back of the neck lengthens. And for the first few moments here, just moving with the breath, visualizing that you're following the breath through the nostrils, down the back of the throat, into the lungs, watching as the belly, ribs and chest expand. And then tracing all of those movements back as you exhale. You could choose to simply stay here, observing the breath as it moves through the body. Or if you would like to add a few more layers, we start by bringing the thumbs into the creases of the hips, pressing down through the shoulders. Fingertips are pointing away from one another. And you begin to visualize a golden square. You can even spin it around within your mind's eye. Look at it from all the different angles. Notice the glow across the surface of that square. And then send that image all the way down to the pelvic floor, at the very base of the body, where you start to find the contact with the ground. Maybe you're happy to stay here with that visualization, or you'd like to think about inhaling and sending the breath all the way down into that square. And as you exhale, radiating that energy outwards, nourishing the cells in the entire body. Possibly as you exhale, adding the Bija mantra LAM, L-A-M. So the inhale draws the breath down. Exhale, LAM radiates out. And you can always relax the arms if it gets too much, or you could stay here for a few moments in silence. As always, I'll be closing the practice by chanting a mantra 3 times, followed by the sound of a single Om. And you could simply allow those sounds to wash over you, or you could join in by repeating the mantra after me as you exhale. Om Gam 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 Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam 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 Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam 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 Ganapataye Namaha. Bring the palms to touch in front of your chest. Through the mantra, we invite Ganesh, the remover of obstacles, to look after us in our life. And maybe you have a particular goal that you would like to be heading towards. And then you could plant a sankalpa, a good intention here. The light in me recognizes the light in you. Namaste, Yogi. As per usual, I just want to thank you so much for joining me in practice today. If you have any questions or feedback, please pop that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the class, then do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell button, share it with your friends, and help me spread the good word. If you would like to find me anywhere else online in the meantime, I will drop all of my social media links in the video description below. And then I just hope to see you back on your yoga mat very soon. And thank you again. Bye, Yogi.